Hello, welcome to Anthony Late for VO Journey Academy Live. Hi, Gabby.
Hi. Anthony
So,
lost a day. He thought
yes,
today was Tuesday.
totally lost today. And when I was texting Gabby, hey, we're supposed to be meeting today? We have, I guess, we usually meet on Tuesdays because we don't have our because Angela does it on Tuesdays. But for some reason, I totally lost a day. But you know what?
Okay.
Gabby's like, no, we're supposed to be doing our live right
We're
now.
just gonna call it holiday brain. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh my
Happy
goodness.
Hanukkah. Tis the start. Today's the first day of
Golly.
Hanukkah. Yeah.
What a crazy, wonderful start to the week. Yeah, and it's interesting because this is the week. So like the kids just Friday's the last day of school and then they're out for break. They have a few weeks off this year, so that'll be pretty cool. But anyways, and I know I'm late today. It's all my fault. So I apologize for the people coming in, but I'm super excited. So if you are coming in and you're not that terribly angry with me, please hit the like and subscribe button and hit that bell notification as well. Also, very excited thing, Gabby. I'm going to talk to you.
What's up?
Tell
me.
So I'm very thrilled about it. Next Saturday, we are coming to the end of our semester for VO Journey Academy Live, and very excited. We're our new semester starts in January, and this year, we've already towards the end here been talking a lot about finding your money voice, and I think as I've grown over the years, I've realized that there's so much more need for this from an acting component because so much of what we do as actors, I think a lot of what we're kind of stuck. I'm gonna say it, Gabby. We're stuck in the 80s. I think with act. I'm sorry. Yes, I love the 80s, but we're stuck there when it comes to voice
Listen.
acting.
I just watched Die Hard last night. So
It's not that we don't love the 80s, but I think we're stuck with a lot of this idea of as a voice actor, an actor in general. It came out that we're supposed to be finding the truth in our performance. We've heard this for so long, and there's which a lot of it came from Stanislavski and this idea of the method, a method to voice act or method acting in general.
yeah.
Anyways, the point is that your money voice, or the idea of you being able to engineer your performance, all right, as opposed to you magically finding a like hidden recesses of your soul that everyone on earth has been longing for, all right, is what I typically, or what I like, that helped me create my journey, right, was
Okay.
through the analysis, everything we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Anyways, the point to all that spiel is that we're having I'm having a free webinar next Saturday,
Oh, nice.
December 20th at 1 p.m. Eastern. And it's crazy because we've almost had I sent it out yesterday. We almost have 100 people signed up for this webinar.
That's
and
awesome.
We still have all week. So I will post the link to sign up. And what we're going over in this is, finding your money voice for 2026, and then we're planning out 2026. So there's going to be some free downloads of, planning guides for your voiceover business for 2026. And I'm going to tell you this, an unbelievable deal that you do not want to miss to join VOJ for the new year. And I really think that this is what we're doing, even though it's in December of 2025, but this is kicking off our 2026 year and everything that we're working for. So I'm very excited about that. So make sure that you get that. In fact, I can post it right now just in the chat.
Yeah.
The webinar link. Yeah. So anyways, that's kind of one thing it's very important to me for us as voice actors to find that money voice, find that style that gets us hired.
Yeah.
So I've worked with a lot of voice actors over the years, and there are some actors the same way. It can be actors or voice actors where they just step on stage or step in front of a mic, and everybody and their cousin is ready to just hire them and work with them. But the rest of us, it takes some work, and that's normal. Right? It's normal. And a lot of times we compare ourselves to those people who just seemingly, this is my best month ever people, which it seems is every month. So, but that's not how I experienced my journey. And it's not how a lot of times people can really get no work and they don't understand what's wrong. And a lot of times it's not, their abilities, which today we're going to talk about your reading skills, which is such a very important part. But, and this is part of that, because finding your money voice is kind of almost in two parts. One, it's your voice, your tone, your pacing, your style. But it's also how you tell a story. Okay. And the variations in storytelling. So, and that can a lot to your reading. First off, your reading skills come for, you got to be able to read effectively. Any Hoosers, sign up. I'd love to have you. It's going to be a blast. And I think we can have up to 500 participants. So
holy crap.
Yeah. So
That's amazing.
I'm excited about that. Anyways, so that was a big spiel. Yeah.
No, but we'll be reminding folks about that all week, and
absolutely,
you'll have plenty of chances to sign up. But I mean, it's free, so why wouldn't you? That's
absolutely,
that's outstanding.
Absolutely.
Cool.
So today, Gabby, we want to talk about reading skills.
I think so. It's something that I'm surprised, right? As a voiceover coach, I find myself more and more having to make a reading assessment part of what I do with people when they come to me and they say, I want to be a voice actor. And I don't know about you, but I mean, even as a kid, like I was a voracious reader. Like my favorite thing was to go to the library as a kid. My parents were always bringing me home books. Like I was that weird kid that like over the summer, I'd go through, I don't even know how many, right? And I've always loved it. So reading to me has always seemed very second nature, which is one of the reasons why,
right.
voiceover. But more and more now I'm seeing a problem. I'm seeing a lack of what I would consider basic literacy, whether it be, vocabulary or being able to relate, basically, taking the written word and speaking it in a way that flows and makes sense. So
yes.
Yeah.
I'm laughing because that was me. I hated reading. When I was in school, I could not stand it. I hated it.
Gosh.
I hated it. I loved movies. I was the guy who could recite any movie, anything. I could literally recite an entire movie without watching it. But I could not. I hated reading because I just couldn't stand, like I would start reading and I got bored really fast while I was reading, which later on in life I realized was an issue because I struggled with my brain. I couldn't keep up reading with how fast my brain was going. So I just would get bored, meaning like I wanted to read faster, but I was reading so slow that my brain was thinking about 15 other things.
Sure. Maybe a little bit of attention deficit there. Yeah.
So it wasn't until I was older that I started becoming a voracious reader, because I was so interested in learn. It was funny. It wasn't until I got out of school that I started getting really interested in learning. Right. Funny enough. Right. So that was the reason why I was giggling, is because that's what I went through when I first started as a voice actor. I was such a poor reader, which I always make a joke. My wife was probably like you, Gabby. She read in just so much. She was such a good reader.
Yeah, do you see my face? I'm in shock. I mean, because
really?
You can hand me a book on a Friday right after work, and by Sunday night I'm finished.
Oh yeah.
Like I've read the whole book,
Right.
And
now I have like tons of, now I have books by my nightstand. I have books everywhere. Like they're different now than I was when I was younger, but it was a change. It was a big change I made as an adult.
So we got to talk about this. How did you make that change? What did you do? And when did you realize it was problematic? Because you're not alone.
Yeah. So I had started to make the change when this all came about when I got frustrated with what I was doing in my life. And
Fair.
so I wanted to start to learn about how, learn other things so that
Mhm.
I could further, my situation in life.
Yeah.
But as soon as I started voice acting, right now, mind you, I was an actor, so I didn't have trouble reading per se when it came to actually reading, of course, but I never I only ever took one speech class where I'd ever actually read from a cue card, if you want to call it that, or a piece of paper or something,
Mm.
where I read directly from words that were written down straight to an audience. I had always been, as an actor, you memorize your
You
words,
memorize, yeah.
you practice them, and then they become a part of you, right? So it's not the it was completely different. So when I started voice acting early on, I started realizing that every other sentence I was stopping. I was making a mistake with words. I got to
Mm.
the point within the first couple of months that I was so frustrated with myself. I have a master's degree, I have educational leadership. I've done, been in education my whole life, and I'm like, I can't even read out loud without screwing up. It was so angry, like I was so angry about it.
I see that a lot, and it's an interesting thing because while we call it literacy,
Mhm,
I have to have this conversation with people where I go, "Look, I know you're a literate human. I know that you've been to college, like, whatever it is.
mhm.
I'm not saying that you're illiterate, but there is a disconnect happening between your eyes, your brain, and your mouth."
Yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly it. So, I started doing all kinds of crazy things. Like, for example, I started even studying speed reading, and I started
Mm.
studying a lot of things. One thing I learned about speed reading was a lot of speed readers, train themselves or have this ability to take in more of a page, take in more writing, at once than per se you reading one word at a time,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
you follow their eyes, and the eyes begin to scan the page. It's
Mhm.
almost
Mhm.
they can see what's coming because they're training themselves.
Yes.
So one thing that I started doing early on to help me was, okay, I said, well, I have to force myself, and it's very uncomfortable early on because I was not used to it. I'd never done this. Force myself, and maybe other people naturally do this if they read a lot. I don't know. They read a lot, but I had to force myself to read ahead of what was coming out of my mouth. So as I was speaking, I was already reading words at
Yes.
least, 3, 4, 5 words ahead. And I have to
Mhm.
tell you, it was extremely uncomfortable. But here's the thing: if you can do it,
Mhm.
it proves that your eyes are not moving as quickly as they should be.
Yeah.
Because you will get to a point where it does become even more like, now I don't need to. It's interesting. I don't need to do that because now I've trained myself. I do it automatically. But at the
Yeah.
time, it was very uncomfortable. But I'm sorry, I know you was here's the thing. When I did it, I never made a mistake.
Uh,
When I
no.
forced, because I knew what was coming, so I was able to say the words without, like, getting caught up.
Yeah. It's especially difficult, I think, for the people who are used to tracking while they
Mm,
read, right? The finger
mm,
keeper, the pace keepers, because they're so used to having it be in the same place at the same time, and we really can't do that. I don't know any voice actor that doesn't read ahead,
mm.
as a general rule, because, yes, otherwise what we do would take so much longer. Um, there are a lot of tricks to this. I think speed reading is an excellent one. I'm always trying to get my students to do what I would consider to be time exercises. Now, mind you, these have nothing to do with performance, right? Because if you were to approach this as a performance, it would be not good.
Mm,
Yeah, the results would just be terrible. But from a reading standpoint, if you take a piece of paper and whatever's on it, right, read it as fast as you possibly can and stopwatch yourself while you're reading it. Okay. And see what your end time is. So let's say it takes you, I don't know, 2 minutes and 9 seconds to read whatever that was. Do it again and now try for faster, right? Try
mm.
for 2 minutes and 5 seconds. Do it again. Try for 2 minutes even. Can you get it under 2 minutes, right? It's constantly forcing your brain faster, 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 faster. Now, if you're reading it aloud while you're doing this, yes, you're going to make a ton of mistakes, and that's actually okay. because what you're trying to do is get your brain used to going so fast that when you finally do slow down, it's luxurious, right? Your brain is like, oh, look at all this time we have. This is so nice. I can slow down. And you actually make less mistakes as a result.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I also noticed exactly what you said earlier too. I always say that your mind and your mouth and your eyes are not linked.
No,
And
never.
also, you do need to do, like, this is where is another reason why it takes time to get good at this, because in your mind, so what would happen to me was, my mind has always been very creative. So like there's always things happening in my mind, right?
Sure.
And so when you read, and same thing when you read things, when I read things, I wanted them, I hear them in my head said a certain way. But until I had done enough and worked hard enough at this, what was coming out of my mouth was not matching what was coming out of my head. And that's I think one of the number one reasons, or one of them, that causes voice actors to mess up while they're doing, because a lot of people are like, I shouldn't have, like, I'm like, I should not have a problem reading. And here's the craziest thing, Gabby, and I've said this a couple times, but people have to try it. If you are in that place where you're struggling reading and you think it's, get a set of headphones or something, put them on your head, but make sure they're noise canceling to where you can't hear yourself speak. And if you can't hear yourself speak, you will never make one mistake reading out loud.
Wild.
This is insane. I've never seen anyone not make a mistake once they cannot hear themselves read, because all of us can read pretty much. I mean, there's some people who might not be able to, but most of us can read. So it's not the fact that you can't read. A lot of times it's the fact that what you hear in your head, what's coming out of your mouth, is not matching up how you think the pace and the flow it could be, but you're not good at yet taking the words that are on the page, manipulating them through your mouth as you hear them in your head, because we are not used to yet speaking out loud the words as much as we are as reading them in our heads.
Wow.
So I'm telling you, it's crazy. You will be like, I cannot believe this. And that was a big aha moment for me, because I realized it wasn't that I was having trouble with like my ability to read words, because at one point you're going to be like, I just suck altogether.
Yeah.
So frustrated, right? But then you realize, wait a minute, it is really a disconnect between what I want to be, how I want to be saying something, and my abilities at that time to take words that were not written for me, were not written in my cadence, and were written by someone else, and make them completely sound like they're my own. Right? If you kind of put that on a bumper sticker, that's our job.
Yeah.
Is, and that's hard. So that's what happens. I'm telling you, try it, and you will just be like, I want to record like this. Now, the reason why you shouldn't record like that is because as you get better, you do need to hear what you're doing in order to make the changes, because what you'll find is it's very dry while you're reading, because you can't hear it. So, but you don't ever make a mistake because you're never hearing yourself say the words a certain way, so you just can read them.
Wow.
It's really kind of crazy. Yeah.
It is. And then, so there's 2 points I want to make here. One is for the people who are really great readers, right? We suffer from another fate, which is often, like you were saying, we kind of disconnect. Our brains will go away. We're thinking of something else. We start to wander. And in that moment, a good director will go, where'd you go? Right? Because your performance changes significantly. It's like, where'd you go? What are you thinking? Because you're no longer in the moment of these words. You're somewhere else. So it's really training ourselves to stay in the moment. On a separate note, though, every now and then I do encounter people who really do struggle with vocabulary, right? Their vocabulary is just not as advanced as what it maybe should be. Now, you've got more of a traditional education, background and experience than I do. So what are some of the things that people can do there to improve vocabulary skills? Because that could be a tough one.
Yeah, I think that fortunately for us today, we do have the ability to, use Google and use things to hear people actually speak words. Okay. And I think that's a massive leg up. But in the end, the biggest thing that all of us have to do is you've got to listen and watch 10 times more than you currently are. Your
Mm,
education, you have to take in how things are said by other people.
yeah.
How you have to, go see plays, watch them. Now because everything is in video, you can watch them from your house on YouTube. For
Mhm.
example, this morning, I was doing because I'm doing work on um, you know, uh finding your money voice for 2026. I was looking back over Gilgood and Olivier and
Mm,
all of these ways that were clearly before I was born, or at least towards the end of my life, but they're major works, but of such iconic, and they did a lot of interviews too about their style and the way they speak, and they just
yeah.
even hearing them say words while they're talking, it's extremely helpful to do that. I will admit, I when you're in education, you end up being forced to read and work through a lot of vocabulary that you just like. They shouldn't be using this. Just use regular people words. But but it does force you to expand your horizon
Mm,
there. So,
mm,
but that's something that I really highly recommend is listen. Shakespeare. I'm telling you,
ugh,
Shakespeare
yeah,
helped
yeah,
incredibly because it just forces you to hear words that we don't use but are still in our vocabulary today. We just
yeah.
we're not we're so, but then you learn that our language is an active changing language. Any language that is
Language is
alive
a
and active,
living culture.
it's
It
living, it
always evolves.
changes. What I
Mhm.
mean? But for us, we are practitioners, we are professionals. We need to be able to do, what other people might struggle with.
Yeah.
So I would say the biggest thing is listening and watching and listening to as much as you possibly can of a variety of different performances. Go, theatrical performances, older performances are so much because I mean, what I would say in the last 30 years, so much has changed in our language.
Yes, it
We
has.
all make funny, right? Like 6, 7, like all the crazy stuff that's going on, like all the when I say crazy, I mean we're older, so maybe we say crazy. But the things that like, I say and my daughter's like, oh my god, dad, don't ever say that again. And but that's like it's so interesting to live
Ah,
through that language
yeah,
changing again
yeah,
the words use of words that are like it could mean it's so there it's like we're starting to use words beyond, so like we speak in so much metaphor, but now the metaphors are becoming insane, right?
yes.
Like they're over the top
Oh, I
almost.
was just reading the other day how, the word aesthetic is
Mm.
no longer being used the way we know to use
No,
it.
I'm
It's
saying but it's
wild.
changing. I mean, and
Yeah.
when they came out with that, what was it? Was it the Urban
Urban
Dictionary?
Dictionary.
Yeah,
Mhm.
where it's just like a collection of all the,
Yeah.
I guess, newer ways we
Yeah.
use their words are being used.
It's helpful.
It is helpful. Yeah, but I will say that will help you a great deal. You need to listen and watch as much as you can
Yeah.
in order to learn how
Yeah.
to say these things and then force yourself to go through. One thing I did early on that helped me a lot, and it was painful. Gabby, it was painful. I did so much long form narration
Oh, yeah.
and I sucked
Mhm.
so bad at it.
It
It
is
was
yeah,
painful. People
yeah.
were like, I mean, I literally would narrate. I would narrate and people, the worst one I ever did, it was, and I love it so much, is The Great Gatsby. I butchered that so bad. The reviews, people were like, "This guy doesn't even know how to say the words right." I mean, like, even, like so, like, reading even classical literature
Yeah.
is so helpful and just expanding, your knowledge in these areas and then forcing yourself to say, "I don't know what that word is," or, "I don't know what that is." Look it up.
Mhm.
Learn how to say it.
Yeah.
Uh, I will tell you now, what's interesting is though now, it's not as daunting. I don't have the issues I had early on. It's quite different, but it took
Yeah.
me a couple years.
Yeah.
What do you recommend?
Oh, geez. The same. I think that for a lot of people, it's getting out of your comfort zone of
Mm,
whatever your common reading material is. That helps tremendously
mhm,
to broaden horizons. I think spending time on Google and YouTube with commonly mispronounced words. Professor Tracy said something similar. Really taking the time to become a little bit more of a student of the English language. And the big thing is making sure that when you're encountering a script, that your brain isn't overriding, right, what it thinks the word is, or, and making assumptions about a word instead of really looking at it for what it is, and then going about saying, oh, I need to research that. Yeah. My Kindle, right, has the lookup feature. Like you can hold down a word and it'll give you the definition. I do it all the time, constantly. Like when I'm reading, I'm like, oh, what is that word? And I'm always, because it might be just something I've never seen before. I'm always, So that's really it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, listen, guys, we're over our time, but it was my fault because we started late because I literally thought it was Tuesday and not Monday. So I apologize. But thank you guys so much. Don't forget to sign up for that webinar. It's next Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. It's free. It's going to be a blast, a lot of great stuff, and it's going to get us, I think, kicked off and started right for 2026. So
love it.
Really excited. Thank you guys so much. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, everybody.